So, Carole, why the focus on the education system, putting it at the top of your agenda?
Well, in fact, you heard me use the economy as the issue because that's the issue facing British Columbians. And I really believe that you can't address the economic issues we face unless you address education. That's where the opportunity is. That's where we're going to make sure that we grow the economy, find the new entrepreneurs, is to invest in education. So I put it forward as a key part of my economic platform, a key direction, and part of the discussion we're going to have with British Columbians.
Do you see this as playing to your strength, given the fact that you're a former school trustee, former head of the school trustees?
I see it as playing to the strength of a strong modern economy. There isn't anyone I don't know that doesn't talk about education being key to a strong modern economy. It is the key, and this government has neglected that and forgotten that. As I said, we need to invest in not only human capital, but real capital. That means education and the economy.
Carole, if people were expecting a new direction for the NDP, did they get it?
They certainly saw that there's going to be a greater emphasis on the economy, that I'm going to be reaching out to British Columbians over this next year. I'm looking forward to going around the province, holding economic forums in the spring and the fall, talking with people how we do make sure that we provide a balanced economy, how we provide strong, healthy, safe communities. So people will see those discussions going on and they'll see a greater emphasis on the economy than they have done previously.
You promised a plan to eliminate child poverty, but there were no specifics. What can you tell us about that?
Well, the specifics that we've already talked about are things like increasing the minimum wage, building affordable housing, making sure that you provide supports for quality childcare. But the key is actually to put a plan in to measure it. You know, I've heard this government talk about the fact that if you don't measure it, it's not important. Well, pretty clear that child poverty isn't important to this government. It is to me. We're going to put a plan together to address it.
When are we going to see that plan?
Well, we've got 3.5 years until the next election, but you'll start seeing items come out over the next year or so. I'm determined that we're going to make sure that British Columbians see that there's a positive vision there. You've seen us already put some of those issues forward in this legislative session. An independent budget officer, taking the corporate tax break that's being given to banks and using that money for green alternatives, for rapid transit. Those are issues we're going to continue to put forward, and people will know that there's a different choice in this next election. This is an agenda that's going forward for government, not for opposition.
So, Carole, quite the speech. Got them going in there. It certainly sounds like you're going on as leader, carrying on. What do you say that people say, you know what, maybe it's time you let someone else do the job?
Well, you know, I think when you're looking at putting an agenda together and when you're looking at going forward, you can see that there are a range of views around our convention. I look forward to those range of views. To me, that's a strength in our party. That's a strength that I believe in, is to bring those differing views. As I said, I don't expect all British Columbians to agree. I don't expect all New Democrats are going to agree. But that's part of the strength. We'll come out with a better answer with people bringing those differing views. So I welcome them. Bring them on.
Immediately before your speech, British Columbia Federation of Labour President Jim Sinclair had some strong words, some strong ideas about the future direction of the NDP, suggesting that it shouldn't cozy up to business, it should be a party of the working people. What do you think about that?
Well, I've always said it's not about pushing people away. It's about bringing people to the table. You know, British Columbians I talk to don't define themselves as left or right or middle. They define themselves as wanting a strong economy that provides jobs for them and their family, and strong social supports in communities, healthcare, education, safe communities. That's what people are looking for. So I say it's not about pushing anybody away from the table. In fact, it's opening the door and bringing people to the table. That's the difference. It's old politics to talk about the division. It's new politics and today's politics to talk about bringing people together.
So
I think it's important that we grow our revenue in British Columbia. We would all agree with that. There are different ways of doing that, and I'll welcome Jim Sinclair and others to the table, including business, as I hold my economic forums.
So are you saying that Jim Sinclair is old politics?
Not at all. I think it's important to bring all views to the table, and I'm welcoming his views along with everybody else.
But do you think British Columbians want to pay more taxes? Is that something the NDP is going to pursue, is higher taxes to raise revenue?
No, in fact, we haven't put together any tax policy as New Democrats. We're going to look at how we grow our revenue. I think there are opportunities to actually increase revenue in British Columbia. We're going to have to take a look at everything over the next while.
You didn't really promise anything in the way of new capital spending or any specific program spending, and there was more of a general statement of principles. Why was it?
Well, I put forward heard previously that we need a stimulus package around affordable housing, that's where I believe that our capital dollars should be going, is affordable housing. I certainly gave the government an opportunity to be able to fund the new arena in Hazelton. I think it's about time, long overdue. That's a place they could put resources. That's a start.
You talked about more share of revenue for communities. Are you referring to the municipal industrial property tax or some other tax shift?
I think there are opportunities to take a look at the revenue that's collected right now in government and look at how we give a fair share to municipal governments. There are a whole number of different models. People have talked about the tax on gasoline. People have talked about a share of property transfer tax that the government collects. There are a whole range of ideas out there, and I'm committed, and I said this at UBCM, to working with municipalities to look at how we do that.
Carole, you guys have just lost your third election in a row. I think a lot of people expected you to signal today that you're going to take the party in a different direction. If you read between the lines of your speech, are you signaling that the NDP is going in a new direction?
Well, if anyone thought New Democrats were not going to talk about the economy, they'd be mistaken after the speech today. We are going to put a greater emphasis on the economy. We are going to talk about how a new modern economy needs to make sure that it addresses the issues in communities. That's a much greater emphasis than you've seen previously by New Democrats.
Is the business community going to be welcome in the NDP now?
They're going to be welcome. Our doors are open, and I'll be including them in our discussions. Those community forums will include business and labor.
Do you expect to get some pushback from the wing of your party that doesn't believe that business has a place in the NDP?
Oh yes, I expect there'll be some New Democrats who won't agree with the direction. This is the direction we're going.
Are you going to handle
that direction described by some last night as the mushy middle. You haven't won going to the mushy middle. How do you respond to that?
I'll respond the way I always do, which is I don't know a British Columbian who describes themselves as left or right or mushy middle. British Columbians want a progressive agenda. They want an agenda that talks about a new modern economy that's sustainable, that addresses green jobs, and that makes sure that communities are healthy and safe. That's what people are looking for. That's the kind of leadership that I'm providing to them, and that's the kind of agenda we're going to offer as New Democrats in the next 3 years.
Your speech only mentioned the name Gordon Campbell once. You used to always talk about Gordon Campbell in your speeches. Why the change?
Well, two things. I think you know, as I've said before, that we're going to provide a more balanced agenda. We're going to be a strong opposition, but we're also going to propose solutions. We're going to make sure we put those positive ideas out there. Today you saw that in the speech. We're going to continue that.
Were you attempting to tone down the negative rhetoric of the campaign a bit here?
I think it is important for us to put a positive vision out there. I'm looking ahead to the next election. I'm going to make sure that positive vision is out well before the election campaign rolls around.
We have time for one more question.
There was no mention
Thanks,
of,
everybody.
there was no mention of climate change anywhere in that speech. Is that no longer a part of the agenda?
Not at all. In fact, if you look at all of the economic section of that speech, it talked about a sustainable economy. It talked about new green jobs. It talked about the green capital. To me, it's not a separate issue. If we're going to grow our economy, we better do it in a sustainable way. We better make sure that climate change isn't over in a corner somewhere, but is part of a new sustainable economy. So purposefully, I'm including climate change in the environment as part of the economic growth that has to happen in British Columbia. It has to be done sustainably, can't be done separately.